Okay. All right. Let me just make sure I have the drums in there. Shot. So how I love you. That one. And I think that happens about like 145-ish to 151. And then he has a thing. And here's another thing he used to do a lot of too. Like. And sometimes I think he doubled up the bass drum. Now just slower. So what I'm doing is. If you double the bass drum. Except that I think here he's just going. And that's the fill he does. Like it fits into the wherever he. I forget exactly where he starts it. Sometimes what he'd do is he'd start it like it would sometimes like basic musician logic would be like, all right, well let's start the fill on the 1 or the 2 and then bust it all the way out to the 1 the next bar. But Bonham sometimes, as do a lot of great drummers, will start the fill on like the an or the 2 or whatever. In this case, though, I can't remember off the top of my head exactly where he starts it. Anyway, I think it's on the 3, maybe? Anyway, so he goes. Hang on. Oh, yeah, that's another thing, too. On that fill, when he does that, he might run to the rack tom with his left hand at one of those points, so. He does. To be honest, I'm not really sure how he busts it in there. If you take that downbeat, bust it back, that's where he starts. If you go back and listen to the recording, again, I don't want Warner Music Group or anybody pulling these videos down. So you just hopefully you're familiar enough with the stuff. But anyway, so that's the fill. Okay, that's a cool fill. And of course, in the context, it works out really great. All right, now this is. In my opinion, this is where the chaos, this is where the cheo starts. About 2:30, he starts again, sort of with the. So again with the. And then he starts going. If I remember, let me see. I have it written down here. I can barely read my writing. So. Oh yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. He goes. So I think that's the beat, the rhythm, what he does in there. You know I get. So he goes that a couple times in a row. And then he goes. So it's not in time because I can't. I mean, it's in time, but I can't remember exactly how long he goes because I don't have the recording playing. But. Essentially what he does there. And again, this is at like the 2:30 or 2:37-ish area. Again, that's that you can practice. That's a great Bonham thing to practice. Anyway, but he does it literally almost right from like the textbook. Okay, so that's what he does there, and it's monstrositic. You know what I mean? And his bass drum, it's classic. You can really hear his bass drum. I mean, a 26-inch with probably an emperor on the batter side and an ambassador, and there's just the felt in there. Although people will, I don't know if anybody's a ultra foamy Zeppelin guy like me. In pictures, you can see in the front head of Bonham stuff. You can see, I think, what is a homemade, what actually turned out to be like a Power Stroke. I think what those guys used to do is they would take another 26-inch head and they would cut around and they would take a strip. And I think they'd glue it onto the inside of the head. So it was like a 30 years ahead of its time. But if you see some of those pictures of Bonham playing, especially with his maple kit, well, really with his maple kit and then the green sparkles, you can see a ring on the inside of the head. Anyway, I know sometimes with the pictures, the lighting, it looks like it's a shadow or whatever, but I guarantee you, a lot of Bonham guys will know what I'm talking about. You'll see a ring in there. So apart from the felt, I think there's a deadening ring on the resonant head. Anyway, I digress. So we get to, after 237, after that, after we get there, then he does a thing, which the Dazed Confused kind of pattern, which is like it's a 6/8. So 1 and 2 and da 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 da. Well, then what he does is he carries those. He does like remember in Dazed Confused. Actually, what I think he does is he does double up the bass drum. So the bass drum and the hi-hat will always be, so it would sort of be like so what would it be? So in that pattern, my left foot and my right foot are going, which is almost like except that the hi-hat's just doing it once instead of. Now in the Dazed Confused thing, when he does that, which he kind of does going into the solo in the middle there. I should say it's like the concept of that. So playing like what would be like 16, what I consider to be, even though I guess they might be 30 seconds. I don't know. I guess if that's an eighth note and you go, but like 1 and 2 and. Okay, so I think you could do something along the lines with he does at the Royal Albert Hall a lot. Up the wazoo, actually, when they're playing I Can't Quit You Baby. So you know what I mean? So that creates a okay? But I think we could do it hand to hand, like a inverted paradiddly. Botched, by the way, obviously, but I think what he's doing there is essentially. That fits the triplet nicely, I guess. And again, you'd come out on a so. And I'm starting to nitpick a little, but the reason why I bring that one up is I think that's one of the coolest little riffs Bonham does, is play like that, those 30 seconds over the triplet. So gracefully, it's so light. You hear it in there at about I don't know, I think it's 240, 245-ish. Anyway. So now we're going to move on to like 255. I got to check the timing, and I'll tell you, man, time flies with these frickin' videos. Hang on a minute here. All right, about I'm blind as a bat. All right, we'll make another video. So the next one will be, this was 2, I'll do 3.